All right, starting over due to technical difficulties because I'm an idiot. Woohoo! Run my event, I can't run OBS. Who knew? All right. So, for posterity, Aloe, how long you been DJing for?
So I started DJing about 16 years ago.
Okay. Was that vinyl or CDs?
The very first thing I ever had, I think, was a CDJ 200, just one. So it was kind of this little weird thing that I came across, and I started playing with it, and then basically, hello, person in front of me,
Yeah.
and then basically, uh, I started going to Guitar Center a lot and playing with all the stuff there because I didn't have like my own equipment for a while, and I just sort of went after school every day and practiced.
Nice. How long have you been DJing for, Amyotte?
For me, it was almost 11 years practicing. I and one of my friends buy me my first DJ control. Was very a small one called DJ Hercules MP3 E2, and with that I practicing to DJ, and that was my first DJ control. Very fun.
Nice. Mine first and my still current DDJ 400. Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Hey, if it works.
Yep.
Yeah.
Though watching Valent bouncing around up there is like, I really want to get a 4-track, but do I really want to spend $12,000 or $1,200?
Yeah, it's expensive. Stuff can be real expensive.
Yes.
I had a friend of mine who sold his equipment when I was about 18, 17, around that time. And so I had these Stanton T120 straights, which are basically the high torque version of a Technique. And I didn't really scratch that much. More did what they call club mixing, right? So I had two of those and a Korg Chaos pad, which only didn't have enough EQ knobs on it, but it was at least better than the single, CDJ.
Nice. So, what equipment do you currently use now?
This right here is actually my model. It's a DDJ SZ2 from Pioneer.
So
I mainly use Serato, so this works really good with it.
So it's basically the Serato version of the DDJ 1000, or very similar.
Yeah, basically it's more. I think the biggest difference is that instead of the internal effects bank that it has in that version, that shit like the DJM mixers, this has a software effects bank in the top left that utilize all the effects in Serato. So it cannot run standalone at all. It requires a computer.
Nice. And what do you currently use, DJ Amyotte?
Right now I have a Newmark Mix Track 3, very basic the turntable, USB, and they do its job. So I'm pretty happy with it.
All right. Here's a question I always ask every DJ: is do you need a $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 DJ deck to do a good mix? Let's go.
No.
No,
you don't. I started with like a trial version of Ableton. It wasn't quite as simple as mixing with faders, but I know Virtual DJ is pretty accessible and fully usable without even hardware, although it helps. And Tractor is fully usable as well without hardware. Serato not so much. It's pretty hard to mix on Serato without physical gear.
But yeah, so you basically don't even need a deck to start mixing. Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah.
There.
Yes, I am. Yes.
What advice would you give a DJ who for somebody who's looking to start off with DJing? Like, like what key pitfalls should they avoid? What's the number one thing they should always do first, or make sure they master first?
I'd say start with the basics. There's there's so much material online now, especially with like YouTube, where you could just literally type in DJ 101 and I'm sure you'll come across somebody who explains it in a way that you understand of basic beat matching and how to line things up. I think that's sort of the base minimum of being able to mix tracks together, is to get them sort of at the same tempo, and then it just builds from there.
How about you, DJ?
Yeah. For me, I'm gonna say, like my last interview, keep practicing. This is the key, and never give up. Never give up, of course, because maybe with all the practicing you can do, and you can mixing some good stuff and doing a lot of events. So keep practicing.
Yes, for sure. You never get to the best you could be. There's always room to go up, no matter how many gigs you've played, how many years you've DJ'd. There's always something to learn. There's always new technology coming out. A lot of the things that we spent a lot of time learning how to do are now accessible with a couple clicks, which means you have more time to do something. If you have time to put your hands in the air, you have time to learn how to do something with them.
I can feel like all that, but whatever. I'm still getting used to effects. I'm still getting used to EQ faders and all that good stuff. But I think I can get by somewhat.
Yeah. Everybody has their own sound. There's no like one right way to mix. Some people mix only with EQ knobs. They don't touch any faders. Some don't use the EQ at all. Some scratch things in at different tempos. Like, as long as the crowd like is enjoying the vibe and the set is cohesive and you're doing like cool transitions, flowing, it doesn't really matter how you would do it. There's not like a book on how to.
Mm-hmm.
There probably is a book on how to DJ, but it's probably out of date. What advice would you give to a DJ who's been DJing for a while, who's been applying to events and is not getting accepted? And the reason why I'm asking you this question is because you're part of the DJ coordination for the Free Online Experience. Same with Valent.
So I'm not actually part of the DJ team. That would be Valent. I have helped in the past. But there's an entire team for that now. I already have too many hats. But Ferality, I think Ferality kind of is sort of at a different level of difficulty, I'd say, to be accepted for. Not in that you need to be good to get in, is that because it's an online event, anyone who has access to the internet and can stream their DJ set can apply, versus maybe a physical convention or a physical venue. The only people that are really going to apply are those that could either physically get there themselves, or those that would be like flown there by, if they're paid or whatever, right? For like EDC, I'm sure they fly all those DJs in, right? But so you go from, maybe 20 applications to a couple, maybe 50, 60 applications for a bigger event, maybe even more. I'm not on any other convention teams. But like for an online event, you can get like hundreds and hundreds of applications, and there's only so many slots. So you could have done everything perfectly and still, it's more of a luck of the draw kind of thing. But specifically to Ferality, if you as a DJ who applied and didn't get in this round, want to know like what you could do to improve or whatever, you could always ask for feedback from the DJ team, and you probably can really do it for any event you apply to. You should at least ask like, hey, what did you think of my mix? Is there anything I could do? And I think most DJ coordinators would give you some kind of answer, but that answer might be like you did everything right, and that's totally an acceptable answer as well, because you could have been on your best game and had like a great mix that was just as good as any other submission. But again, it's sort of there's X number of slots and X number of applicants. It's just you can't pick everybody.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
How about yourself, DJ Amyotte? Like, what suggestion would you give to people who apply for events and don't get in?
I can say don't give up. Don't give up. Continuing to apply. I did that situation in the past, and of course I was like sad to not be chosen for other events, but all of my friends and staff coordinator told me that don't give up, apply again. I'm sure you will be on it to the future events, so never give up. Continue to apply, and I'm sure you can be there in the future.
If you don't apply, you won't get in.
Yes. What is it? Wayne Gretzky.
Exactly.
What is it? Wayne Gretzky said, "You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take."
Something like that.
Well, he's Canadian. I think he probably knows. Wasn't Wayne Gretzky Canadian?
Yeah.
Dev, get out of the shot.
That's it. So, Valen, if you have anything you want to add to it, and if it's not you weren't part of the. Okay, so we're getting the wave off. Okay. But yeah, so as far as like I understand, not being accepted something that you really wanted to be part of can really drag you down. You think that it's beat yourself up that maybe it's me.
It sucks.
It sucks. It really sucks. But don't let it get to you. Look at it like, okay, hey, maybe you did. If they were scoring on a score says maybe you did a 9.5 out of 10 and somebody else did a 9.6 out of 10. It doesn't matter. Maybe you both ranked at 9.5, but they had 20 house DJs, applying for a slot event where they only had 20 DJs and they wanted to bring more in there. So they couldn't take you, but they would have. Literally, that's why I'm perfectly fine with, what Alo said, and Amyotte. If you need feedback, open your mouth and ask and be receptive to that feedback. Don't look at it as a gremlin, oh, they're out to get me. They're out because I suck. Da, 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 da. No, look at it as hey, they will point out to you, here's where you can improve. Here's how you can improve. And you can apply that feedback to your life in general. If you are having trouble with anything in life in general, ask for help. Ask for feedback. Ask how you can improve. And if somebody's willing to just rip you down and not give you information on how to improve, ignore them, ignore them, ignore them.
Yeah. If you maybe aren't in the situation of where you applied for something and didn't get accepted to ask feedback, or they're not willing to give you any feedback, you could always join a DJ community. There's a bunch in VR chat. There's Tailbase, there's Placeholder, a bunch of other ones, and yeah, i.W.A.I.T, and you have a Discord, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think I just joined it. So find a community of other DJs and swap sets. Hey, what do you think of this? And not everybody's gonna want to give you feedback, but you'll find some that will, and if they give you some tips, maybe you can think about that and try to incorporate them. Or if you see some DJs doing something that was interesting to you, that caught your interest, ask them how they did it. How did you combine those two things, or how did you do that effect, or whatever. It's a great conversation starter, and maybe you'll become aware of a feature that you weren't aware of before. This thing has a shit ton of buttons, and I'm still trying to learn what all of them do. It's just there's so many buttons.
Yeah, oscillator, the frick.
It makes noise.
Pew pew. But yeah, it's like, and don't. I'd say like as far as like when you're practicing and whatnot, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Making mistakes
Yeah.
helps you learn.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like how would you prep for like a set? Like let's say for i.W.A.I.T, how did you prep for i.W.A.I.T? Was it like did I build a set list beforehand, or were you just going off the cuff?
So it depends on the event and how many competing things are going on in my life. Personally, I got a lot of responsibilities, but every DJ is different on how they approach a set. Some will plan out the entire thing and it will sound really fucking awesome because it's such a cohesive, tight mix. I think when I put a lot of work into doing a set list ahead of time, it lets me focus on the transitions rather than finding a song. So I can put more effort into that. And but I also have folders of songs that I like that are a certain mood. And like as long as I'm in the folder, I can play anything in it, and they're all gonna be good songs to play, and I'm just picking whatever. So it depends on the event for me and how much prep time I have. So it's a bit of a mix of both.
Good. Well, yeah, Amyotte, how do you prepare for events? Like, do you do completely live mixes or pre-planned? Is it a little bit of both?
For me, before the events, like Hollow said, it depends the kind of events, the people, everything. I make like a side list on my virtual DJ, so I can choose all the songs with the same key, with some nice song mashups together with the same. BPM and everything, and yeah, so to depends the events, of course, and yeah, that's why I do before the events.
Nice. For me, I do a pre-planned event, like if it was a big event, like placeholder or variety submissions, HFF, those type of events. Yeah, I'll spend hours and hours and hours pre-planning. Sometimes you can spend way too much time pre-planning a set. Like when you spend close to 5 times more preparing this for the set than recording the set, you may have a problem there. At least I do.
Hey man, you are in control of your sound. If you're happy with it, then you're happy with it.
Yep. And I have a confession to make. That entire set that I recorded today, except for 2 tracks, I have not listened before. That's basically I just went to the Beatport Link Top 100 main stage, built the BPM grid and keying. Let's go. I've been like trying to.
It's fun to mix like that.
Yeah, it's like I don't know what this is going to sound like. It's going to sound really good or sound like crap. Oh, thank God, it sounded good. Or that sounded like crap. Let's just kill the track. Let's go. But that's actually,
you got to commit once you start playing it.
Yeah, like there's also like that's one other thing about not worrying about making mistakes is a lot of times you may stumble upon a way of mixing that you didn't think of before. It was on accident. You're like, holy crap, that sounded really good. Let's go back to the replay. That's why you should always record what you're doing, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely a good advice. It's something that I did every time I have a set, especially if it's like live and not just sort of practice. I always record it, and then I always go to my car and listen to it because that's where I have like the best audio, I guess, profile to listen to it in. Everybody seems to do that, and then you can listen to it either while you're driving or just sitting in the driveway and pick up on like, those 2 songs go together well. I should always play those 2 together. Those should never be touched together again. And you pick apart your own mix, and you're always going to notice your mistakes much more than the crowd will, because you knew what you were doing. You knew where the song starts and ends in your head. So it's very loud to yourself of like, oh, that was really like, but most people wouldn't even notice.
Yeah. When reviewing your own set, since we're going into recording and reviewing, like, what would you look out for? Like, would are you the type that would take like a little notepad and say, "Oh, this track, this was good, this was bad."
I have a pretty good
Memory.
when I listen to songs, it kind of gets frustrating sometimes because especially if I have a normal combo I do between two songs that I pair
Yeah.
together, anytime I hear the song, I can't hear the outro without hearing the next track in my head. And especially like there's one time where I used a song and I did a different song in the end of it, and when I listened to it, it felt weird to me because I was expecting a different intro coming in. So like to me things just kind of stand out, and then in my head it'll like, hey, I'll remember it when I hear the song again. If I'm like listening to it in preview, or if it's playing and I'm trying to pick the next song, I'm gonna remember it's like, oh, those didn't really match.
Nice. How about I mean, how do you go about like reviewing your own sets and such?
For me, I play my set like before, like 2, 3, or 4 days before the event, and practicing. If I think that sounds very correctly or is not, I change the track. So I put another one and try to another one. So that's what I do before the big day. So yeah.
Nice. So as far as like, this is one question I always ask for every DJ. It's always fun to hear the responses. If you were to, be able to send a message back in time for when you were first starting the DJ, what message would you send back?
Mm.
I'll give you some time to think about that.
Mm.
I guess maybe learn about mix and key much earlier than I came across it. It really helps speed up the process of finding compatible tracks. It's a software called Mix and Key, but basically, I have a musical background. I used to play electric bass, and so finding the harmonies in songs is more of just listening to them to me. But it takes a lot of time, and then software started having like ways to categorize the key of things, and so now it's sort of in the default view of every software. You'll see a key column, and depending on what software you have, it may be pretty inaccurate, but there's a software out there called Mix and Key that is basically scans your song and saves that key back to the MP3 data, and it helps building playlists, like the process of building it, much faster. I wish I had heard about that a long time ago because it's been around for a while.
How about DJ Amyotte? What about you? What message would you send back?
I'm gonna say the same as Alo about the keybind, and because I never mixing my keybind before.
I told you about it.
Yeah, he told me, yes. And I think to tell to myself, say, don't give up, continue what you like. And yeah, I think that's will be the big thing I can say to me and the past.
Don't change your genre for other people.
Yes. That is definitely a big thing. Honestly, for me, what I'd probably send back is, don't wait so damn long to mix live.
To mix live?
Yeah, like I was mixing pre-records for about 2 or 3 months when I started DJing. Like I started DJing June of 2021.
Nice.
In fact, Ferality, closing the day after Ferality will be the first day I've ever touched the DJ deck. 1 year anniversary.
Nice. It's pretty cool how quick people can like pick it up. It's really just about your, wanting to learn it, looking into it, and soaking in that info, right?
I attribute like my success of like because like I listened to some of my first sets and some of my first sets were just horrible. Sorry, Breezy, if I guess you're just saying good night. Good night. But yeah, for me, it's like surrounding myself with people who are extremely talented, extremely kind, extremely helpful. Like everybody looks at my outfit and they look like I'm like a NASCAR driver or something. I have logos of all the DJs who have inspired
Sponsorships,
me.
man. You can get paid
Yes.
off by everybody.
Yeah,
Let's
like
see.
unfortunately, I cannot add any more badges to this outfit because the substance file got corrupted, so I have to start from scratch.
I'm just teasing.
But I think I should teach myself how to use Substance Painter so I can actually add more badges and such. But it's just each one of these persons is somebody who's really close to me who's helped me, inspired me to become better. Who, if I had a question about how do you mix this, what do you go mixing about this, and they don't talk down to you. They like, oh yeah, try this, and then go back and forth with feedback. Like i.W.A.I.T, he's in the audience over there still. He is definitely the person who inspired me to actually even start DJing. It was Virality Luma of all events. Just watching that crazy bastard mix 4 tracks at once, and I didn't even understand what it meant. But I was like, oh, this sounds cool.
Yeah, it's cool to see a lot of people who were inspired by recent events. They go see somebody DJ and like they really like that style, and they're like, I want to do that, and then they show up the next 6 months later, 12 months later, or however much long later, and they're like on the same stage. It's really cool. There's a lot of people who like I just know about Virality because I work there, but like there's a lot of DJs that have played at Virality that were X decades old of DJing, or 4 or 5 months of DJing. Like the how new they picked it up was such a wide range, and it's so cool. You just gotta work at it.
Yeah, and it's kind of amazing, like being part of a big event like Virality and such is like seeing how many people were inspired to DJ. Like I think if I remember right, Flex, which is a DJ that's going to be at the i.W.A.I.T on Saturday, he's a DJ that's inspired by Fetus Grinder.
Yeah. We turned him into a furry.
Yeah. Yes. He was always a furry on the inside. No matter what. You're always a furry on the inside. All you e-boys and girls who say, oh, I'm not a furry. If you have freaking fur ears and a tail, you're a freaking furry.
I'm staying out of this debate.
But yeah, as far as like just it's very fun to be a part. Like one of the main reasons I created this event is I didn't want to have to wait for me to be on a separate event to share a stage with some of my heroes, some of my icons, somebody, and also be able to give the stage to the new people who may not have the skills at this point in time to get into a Virality event, an i.W.A.I.T event,
or the luck.
Yeah, or the luck, or yeah, like just honestly, if you ever do go to a DJ event, advice I would say is talk to the DJs, talk to people that are around there. Like, who's in charge of this event? How can I get in?
How do you get involved? Is there a sign up list? Is there a Discord you got to join? Is there a Telegram group? Like, and be a good member of the community. You don't just join and be like, all right, when's my turn? If whatever the process is, you got to follow it.
Yeah, and be kind when you approach people about it. Like, hey, it's like, this is really cool. How do I get in? Any tips that you would say or any advice?
I mean, like I said earlier, don't stop to DJing, practicing. Like I said, that's the key, and I'm sure you. Oh my god, my English. Sorry.
You're perfectly
like I said,
fine.
practicing, and that's the key, guys. And I'm sure you will be able to do big events like Parody in the future. So
Yes.
do it.
Just do it. Yes. So as far
Just
as
do it.
just do it. Yeah. So, any last words before I plug the next event?
The next event, for myself, will be FWA. I'm on at Thursday at midnight at FWA in person. So if you're going, I'll see you there.
You definitely get a hug out of me.
Yee,
With
it's gonna be a
consent,
good time.
with consent, of course. And if
I'm sure
anybody,
you'll find me. I have a stupid nameplate above my head that's like a VR chat IRL name tag.
Yes.
I'm very easy to find.
yes. And if anybody were to follow you, like, where could they go? Like, what's your Twitch? Do you have a Mixcloud? Do you have a Twitter?
Yeah. So I generally upload all of my sets. Like this one will be on my YouTube, but the easiest way to find me is on Twitter at DJ Vulp, VULP. That has a link to my Mixcloud and posts from my YouTube. It's all kind of there, and so you can find my stuff that way.
Nice. How about yourself? Did you name it?
For me, guys, Twitter on the DJ Amyotte, my Twitch account, DJ underscore Amyotte, my Mixcloud, same DJ Amyotte, and yeah. So I will apply my mix I played today on Mixcloud tonight. So enjoy, guys.
As far as for me, guys, my Discord. If you're on the Twitch, I got the bot set up with a very short timer. I should probably change that. Join the Discord. I have a link tree. linktr.ee/warned1. That's where my Mixcloud. You can find links to my Mixcloud and the YouTube channel. Eventually maybe the Discord server. But as far as the next event, it's going to be surprisingly it's an I.W.A.I.T, but on a Saturday because we got to hang out with our wonderful European friends. Starting off the event is going to be DJ Blitz Astoria. They're going to be doing a drum and bass set.
Nice.
Coming up next after that will be Dutch Fox with a hard style set. Man, Dutch Fox does some amazing hard style sets. He sent me his set already. I'm like, listen to a little bit. Like, ooh, yep, this is going to be a good one. It's going to be a banger. For all your metal heads, Flix is going to be joining us. Surprisingly, he's only 16 years old.
Wow.
But he's freaking adorable. Like when I first invited him to come to I.W.A.I.T, I was like, "When is it going to be?" Like, I told him it was going to be at 7 p.m. Mountain Time and whatever time that was European. He's like, "I don't think my parents won't let me stay up that late." I'm like, "Wait, your parents? How old are you?" Like, I mean,
yeah.
like honestly, Flix is just an amazing kid. Good kid. And then closing out the night will be Burutetsu. The very, very wonderful Burutetsu. And then after that, like today, interviews. It's going to be much fun for me because I have to corral 4 DJs instead of just 2. That will be starting at 1900 BST, 12 noon Mountain Time. That would be 1 Central, 2 Eastern, and then 11 Pacific.
Yep. AM.
Yep, 11 a.m.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again so much for both of you for agreeing to come along for this. For those out who are watch these videos afterwards or whatnot, if you have a DJ that is maybe interested in joining the I.W.A.I.T crew, send them my way. Send them to the Discord. There is a form for all the DJs to fill out. It just makes it easier for me to know who exactly is who's interested, what genres they have. So if I'm trying to build a genre, you don't necessarily have to be a furry. It's a plus. It's optional.
Furries? What?
Yeah. I don't see furries. All I see is human.
Don't see.
But yeah, just as long as you play awesome music, and even if it's a genre that I cannot personally DJ yet, I will grab 3 DJs and throw them together. Like I did a Full Metal night once. A hard sound night when I couldn't really
That
do.
sounds intense.
Oh, it was. It was. But
Cool.
thank you again so much. This was been a very fabulous night. Glad to have so many wonderful people just even come for the music and even stay for the interviews. Hopefully everything just gets better from here once I'm figure out my stuff on my end.
Everybody starts somewhere.
Yep. All right. Well, take care all. Bye bye.